Welcome back. All right, so 10 games tonight in the National Hockey League, and for the first time in a video, I'm wearing the Marchand jersey that I've had for ages. By ages, I mean, I think it's like 3 years I've had it. Because, wow, what a way to make a debut. So we're going to start off with that. It was Husso versus Swayman. Swayman, best game he's had all season by a mile. Clifton has a chance. It's held. The shots are 5-4 in Boston's favor, 5 minutes into the period. Mata blocks a shot from Grzelcyk. The wings press, but they're kept to the outside. Soderblom hits the post. Bruins get a power play. That's killed off. And then Coyle, with what might have been the prettiest goal he scored as a Bruin, he scores a beast mode goal from Forbert and Marchand at 13:42. So Marchand first game back, and he's on the board. Bergeron nearly adds another. Marchand has a rush chance that's saved. 2 new hips, or at least double hip surgery. He looked fine out there. Wings press with 3.5 minutes left. Forbert defends the 3-on-1, but it's 1-0 Boston after one. Second period, I know he didn't get hip replacement, so just say that straight out. Second period, Wings press at 1.5 minutes. Raymond has a net drive that's blocked. The Wings get a power play. It's killed off. No shots allowed by Boston's penalty kill. Bruins get a power play. That was killed off as well. Zadina then has a net drive. That's held. The Bruins go back to the power play. Pasternak's denied early. He's not denied his next opportunity. Actually, it's Marchand that scores from Lindholm and Pasternak at 11:53. Yeah, this was the Marchand show. Goal and an assist. Wings then press. They draw a power play. That was killed off. The Wings press with 1.5 minutes left, and eventually they do get on the board. It's Ernie from Hronik at 18:49. That one's from a distance, and it's one of those ones you look at and go, oh, come on, Swayman, let's keep the good game going. So going to the third, there's a delay game call against the Detroit Red Wings. Bruins get a power play, and it's Marchand on the power play. See, I knew he scored a power play goal. Pasternak and Bergeron with the assist. He actually had 2 power play goals. Just breaking my brain on this one. 3 points for Marchand, and that's at 2:55 of the third. Remember, he isn't even supposed to be close to coming back. The original date was supposed to be like 1st of December, and even his most optimistic was 1st of November. And then at 3:30, Craig Smith gets his first of the season from Nosek and Forbert. Bruins then get a power play, and they score on it. Now Pasternak with a power play goal. He scores from Bergeron and Lindholm at 4:34. The Wings would get a power play. It becomes a 5-on-3. That's all killed off. With 1 minute and 47 seconds left, Detroit gets a power play. It turns into a 4-on-4, and the game is done. Boston wins 5-1. They go to 7-1 on the season. Remarkable start to the season for Boston, and they're getting healthy. Detroit 3-2-2 on the season with back-to-back regulation losses. Now the shots in this one: 12-10 Boston in the first, 10-8 Detroit in the second, 13-9 Boston in the third. Final shots: 33-29 for the Bruins. Power plays: Detroit 0-for-5, Boston 3-for-6. Hits: 34-26 Detroit. Husso saves 28 out of 33, and Swayman saves 28 out of 29. Yeah, so Swayman had a very good game, and so did the Bruins, and everything's going really well for them thus far. All right, next up, Florida. So the Panthers in against the Philadelphia Flyers. It was Bobrovsky versus Hart. The Panthers press, and they score. Forsling scores from Verhaeghe at 3:41. Hart nearly saved that one. But yeah, it's 1-0 Florida, and I was thinking, all right, so, you know, they've had their setbacks lately, but they're going to win this one. Makes sense, right? So the shots are 8-1 for the Panthers at 6 minutes. 8-1. And then at 6:41, I think this was the second shot on net for Philly. It goes in. It's D'Angelo from Konechny and Farabee. Great passing. It was a 3-on-2. D'Angelo comes in from the point, and he buries it. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 during that. Mahura scores from Gudas and White at 7:58 to restore the lead for Florida. He has 2 goals this year, both of them against the Flyers. Panthers press with 9.5 minutes left. With 4:52 left, the Flyers get a power play, and they score on it. They get their second goal on what is their 4th shot of the period. Lawton from Konechny and Hayes at 15:28. So after the first period, the score is tied at 2, even though Florida was all over them for a lot of this period. Second period, Hayes has a tip that's saved. Barkov's denied from the slot. The Panthers get a power play. Provorov prevents a goal. That was going in, and Provorov just says no. Shorthanded Sedlak rush ends it. Flyers press at 8.5 minutes, but the shots are 7-3 for Florida at 9 minutes. But just after the halfway mark of the period, McEwen with a shot that he perfectly tips on a sealer shot from the point. It was off a face-off win, And at 10:17, Philly has their first lead of the game. And a little over a minute later, Farabee buries one in close from Hayes at 11:29. It is 4-2 for Philly, even though they've been outplayed through most of this game. Panthers get a power play. That's killed off. There was a press by the Panthers with 3 minutes left, with 15.7 seconds left. Panthers get a power play. But we're going to the third period, and it's a 4-2 game. Now, things get pushy after a hold by Hart early in the third, and then on that power play that spanned the periods, Florida does get the goal to get within one. It's Montour from Reinhart and Tkachuk at 36 seconds. The Panthers get another power play shortly after. That one's killed off. The shots are 7-0 for Florida at 6 minutes. Yeah, this was the Carter Hart show at this point. The Flyers get a power play. That's killed off. Florida pulls the goaltender with 2 minutes left. With 39 seconds left, Florida calls a timeout. Whatever Florida discussed during their timeout, doesn't matter. Your final score is 4-3 for Philly. They go to 5-2 on the season. Yeah, they got 10 points. And Florida 4-3-1 with the loss. So Florida with kind of a pedestrian record in October right now. What a difference a year makes. Shots are 19-9 Florida in the first, 11-8 Florida in the second, and 21-5 Florida in the third. Final shots 51-22 for Florida. Everything worked except the puck going in the net. Final shots are 51-22. Power plays 1-for-4 for Florida, 1-for-2 for Philly. Hits 34-27 for the Philadelphia Flyers. Bobrovsky saves 18 out of 22, and Carter Hart 48 saves on 51 shots. So, yeah, Hart's off to a pretty decent start this year. Next up, Minnesota. So, there was a jinx right at the start of this game. It's Fleury versus Forsberg, and it was mentioned before the game, Ottawa has never swept a 5-game homestand. So I put it on the board saying the announcers just jinxed them, didn't they? Duhaime versus Watson. There was a lot of fights tonight, depending on which game you watch. So Duhaime versus Watson, the shots are 2-0 for the Sens at 3.5 minutes. And DeBrincat gets the goal on their third shot from Giroux and Brassard at 3:47. He fires at top corner. That's DeBrincat's first goal for Ottawa with a goalie in the net. He already had an empty netter before. Then we had a fight between Dumba and Tkachuk. So, yeah, this was fight night, and Ottawa's up 1-0. Fans are excited. The Wild, though, they get a power play, and they score on it. At 7:53, it's Zuccarello from Addison and Kaprizov. It was a screenshot. Forsberg never saw it. Sens get a power play. That was killed off. The Wild press with 2.5 minutes left, and eventually they score. Kaprizov scores from Spurgeon and Gaudreau at 18:24. So Kaprizov staying hot. DeBrincat was then robbed in the final minute. So it's 2-1 for Minnesota after the first, but Ottawa had their chances, and so they're not out of this. Second period. Shots are 5-0 for the Wild at 3 minutes. That's less encouraging for Ottawa, of course. The Wild press are kept to the outside. Dumba has a tip that's saved, and then at 4:25, Hartman gets his first of the season. He's waiting on that one from Eriksson Ek, and the shot goes just right over the shoulder of Forsberg, top of the net. Sens try to answer. However, they don't get shots on the net while they're trying to answer. The shots are 10-0 for the Wild at 6 minutes. So again, that's less encouraging for Ottawa. But the Sens did press at 9 minutes. There was a Tkachuk pass to Batherson at the net. Near miss there. Power play for the Wild. That was killed off. The Wild press was 6 minutes left. Mott then had a rush opportunity. That deflects wide. Things get pushy after a hold by Forsberg. With 1:47 left, the Sens get a power play. Brassard was denied. The rebound was cleared. We're going to the third period with Minnesota ahead 3-1. Early press by the Sens in the third. A power play for Ottawa as well. We get 1 minute and 40 seconds of 5-on-3, and the Sens smartly call a timeout to discuss it because they score on the 5-on-3. Chabot from DeBrincat and Batherson at 4:03. So that makes it 3-2. The 5-on-4 was killed. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. The Wild would get a power play. That was killed off. The Sens press with 3 minutes left, and then with 2:36 left, the Sens get a power play. They would pull the goaltender to get a 6-on-4. That allows Freddie Gaudreau to hit the empty net. It's also a shorthanded goal at 17:39. And so Minnesota wins this one on the road 4-2. They even the record now at 3-3-1. Ottawa 4-3. Almost every team in the league is at 500, one game above 500 or one game below 500. Power Rankings board's crying tonight. So the shots are 13-11 for Minnesota in the first, 17-9 Minnesota in the second, and 10-9 Minnesota in the third. Final shots 40-29 for Minnesota. Power plays, the Wild go 1-for-4, Ottawa 1-for-5. 9 power plays sounds like a lot, doesn't it? You just wait till we get to the next board. Power plays were feature of this, but both teams scored once. Hits 37-25 for Ottawa. Fleury is getting it back together. 27 saves on 29 shots. Really good recovery by Fleury during this road trip. Forsberg, 36 saves on 39 shots. He was very good. Minnesota was just the better team. So, pretty decent game. Next up, Montreal. So, yeah, remember what I said about every team's at or just one game above 500? Yeah, so it was Montembeault versus Comrie. Who had Montembeault having a career best game, arguably, tonight on their sheet of things that could happen? Things get pushy after Montembeault gets bumped. Tage Thompson did go to the box on that because it was goalie interference. That's killed off. The Habs go back to the power play. Buffalo kills that one off as well. The shots are 5-1 for the Habs at 6.5 minutes, in large part because they had 4 minutes of power play time. There's a blast by Power that's saved. The Sabres get a power play during that stretch of play there. The Habs kill it off. The Sabres had some momentum, but then at 13:31, a puck goes in off of Owen Power's stick. The thing is, it's into his own net. Gallagher gets that goal from Anderson, and so Montreal's up 1-0. The Sabres get a late power play, so that rolls over into the second period with 34 seconds left in it, and Jeff Skinner, before it's done, he gets power play marker, his first goal of the year, from Tuck and Quinn at 31 seconds, and he wired that one on a rush. Sabres press for the lead. Olofsson couldn't bury one in close. There's a near miss by Caulfield. When he had an opportunity, the Sabres did clear it out there. There was a power play for Buffalo. Tage Thompson has a shot that's blocked. His next opportunity was saved. The shots are 9-2 for Buffalo with 9.5 minutes left. Yeah, it was the Montembeault show in this one. Power play for the Sabres. That's killed off. Pitlick has a net feed. That was blocked out. Heavy press by Montreal in the final minute. But we're going to the third period, still tied at 1. In the third, Thompson has a rush chance, that saved. The Habs get a power play. That led to a shorthanded Sabres rush and another. Both of those were unsuccessful in terms of getting a goal, but they did help to kill off the penalty. The shots are 6-3 for the Sabres at 6.5 minutes. And then at 6:51, Caden Gooley with his first NHL goal, and he just blasted it. So if you're going to get a first goal, you might as well make it a pretty one. The assist to Savard and Caulfield. So Caulfield with an assist on that one. Jack-I then saved a goal for the Montreal Canadiens, so you can add saving goals to the list of things Jack-I does. Sabres press with 8.5 minutes left. Dvorak then couldn't bury one on a rush. And Cousins ties the game from Bryson and Pilot at 12:54. And then the Sabres press for the lead. And I, like others, probably thinking, well, Buffalo's going to win this, right? So Doc has a blast that's held, and then at 16:14, it's Gallagher who breaks the tie from Anderson and Savard. So Montreal goes ahead 3-2. In the final minute, Sabres had opportunities. They did have the goalie pulled. They couldn't tie it. Your final score is 3-2. Montreal evens the record at 4-4. Buffalo drops to 4-3. So after those big wins over the Alberta teams and Vancouver, they've now lost back-to-back games against teams that you want to beat when you see them on the schedule in Seattle and now Montreal. Your shots, 14-11 Buffalo in the first, 13-9 Buffalo in the second, 18-14 Buffalo in the third. Final shots are 45-34 for the Sabres. Power plays, Montreal 0 for 3, Buffalo 1 for 4. Both teams had 6 hits, so it wasn't a very physical game. Montembeault, 43 saves on 45 shots. Comrie saved 31 out of 34. Both goaltenders played pretty well tonight. So, pretty entertaining game as the rain picks up. So, St. Louis in against the Nashville Predators. For St. Louis, they got off to the good start. We can kind of forget that now. It was Grace versus Saros. Now, at 1 minute and 7 seconds, it's St. Louis that opens the scoring. It's Thomas from Falk. And it was a perfect tip in front of the net. No chance for Saros there. St. Louis off to a good start on the road. Preds try to answer. We get some shoving after a save on that. Blues get a power play. Preds don't let them set up. That's killed off. The shots are 5-4 for Nashville at 8 minutes. Then we get a power play for Nashville. Duchesne's denied. Grice holds. That power play's killed off. But then Jeannot gets Nashville on the board. He scores from Trennan and Yossi at 16:56. That's Yossi's first point in North America, because his other point he had in Prague. Preds then look for the lead. Grice Snow Angels as the Predators are pushing. Puck was underneath them, so the whistle goes. It's 1-1 after 1. Second period. Blues, they get some pressure. They draw a power play, and they score on it. It's Shen from Parayko and Falk at 6:24. So St. Louis has a 2-1 lead. They look pretty good. Blues go back to the power play. Nashville kills that off. The shots are 6-3 for the Blues with 9.5 minutes left. This is a Nashville team that's looked kind of listless since the back-to-back wins in Prague, and they were starting to look that way again. It would not stay that way. Duchesne has a near miss on a 3-on-2. McDonough breaks up a 2-on-1, and then, well, this is where they get on the scoreboard. McCarron from Yossi and Forsberg at 15:47, and then Zach Sanford with his first as a Pred from Cole Smith at 16:24. So 2 goals, really rapid fire there. Pitlick then has a net feed that's blocked, and after 2 periods, it's 3-2 for Nashville. Third period, Neighbors has a rush chance that's saved. The puck goes the other way, and Johansson on a rush. He scores from Forsberg and Duchesne at 1 minute and 11 seconds. But again, 4 minutes in, the shots are 6-3 for St. Louis. St. Louis is getting shots. They're not getting the goals. Blues press at 8 minutes. Granlund has a rush chance that deflects out as Nashville start and get their opportunities now. 7:16 left. Nashville gets a power play, and Yossi gets the first goal by a Nashville Predators defenseman this season. He scores from Forsberg and Duchesne at 13:06. Goalie pull, because why not? They're down by 3. You might as well pull the goalie early. And that means at 15:14, Granlund gets his first of the season from Duchesne and Smith. So Cole Smith on the board a couple of times. Nashville wins this one 6-2. Their record is 3-4-1. They're 1 game below 500. St. Louis is 3-3. They're back at 500. It's like everything's resetting. So the shots, 15-8 Nashville in the first, 13-10 St. Louis in the second, 17-14 Nashville in the third. Final shots, 42-35 for the Preds. Power plays, St. Louis 1 for 3, Nashville 1 for 2. Hits, 35-25 for Nashville. Grice saves 36 out of 41, and Saros saves 33 out of 45, or 33 out of 45. He only allowed 12. Saros saves 33 out of 35. He only allowed 2. Now I'm going to the other board. And now we're to the penalty board. So, because some of these games had a lot of, well, this game had a lot of penalties. So it's Campbell versus Stalock as the Oilers went in to face Chicago. This ended up being a very 80s game. Early jump for the Oilers. Dickinson then had a chance that was held. Crossbar for Ceci on his opportunity. Draisaitl to Kane, near miss at the net. Oilers have a 3-on-2 that was defended. Power play then for the Hawks. Seth Jones has a shot that's saved. Good cycle, but that's killed off. Murphy has a shot that's held. It is the Oilers that get on the board first. Hyman from McDavid and Kane at 10:29. So that's good, right? Oilers are up. However, it doesn't last. Athanasiou on a breakaway from Domi at 13:20. It was a beautiful pass by Domi. Really nice break by Athanasiou, and he finished it. And then Reese Johnson with his first of the season from Caleb Jones and Blackwell at 15:38. The Oilers get a power play, and that's killed off. So after 1 period, it's 2-1 for Chicago, and we had no idea how crazy this was going to get. McDavid scores from Bouchard at 18 seconds. In the second period, he wires that one on a rush, so that ties the game. Then there's a delay game call. Hawks get a power play, and they score on it. It's Taves with his 4th of the season from Domi and Kane at 1:33. So Domi with a couple of helpers already. The Hawks go back to the power play. Here we go. Hawks go back to the power play. It becomes a 4-on-4 for 55 seconds. Kane gets a 4-minute call for a cross-check. Parade continues, and there was more. I stopped. I stopped writing who had what power play. During a 4-on-3, McDavid scores from Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at 8:28. If you didn't watch this game, you really missed out. You don't have to cheer for Edmonton or Chicago. This was just remarkable. There's more calls after that, just so many. If the NHL didn't have it so that you could only have 3-on-3, you might have ended up with just like nobody on the ice, just 2 goalies. So it's all killed off. We finally get 5-on-5, and then I put right here, LOL. Why? Because it was 5-on-5 for maybe 30 seconds. It feels like maybe 30 seconds. And then the Hawks get their 7th power play. Radish was denied. Campbell holds. That's killed off. Kane scores. Referee points at the goal, but apparently the referee at center ice waved it off for goalie interference. So the Oilers decide the way it looked was they decide that Kane was pushed into the goaltender by his own defenseman. And I'm guessing they were thinking that the goaltender had time to reset. He didn't have his stick, so they challenge it. However, the referee looks at it and goes, yeah, no goal. So that means it's a penalty. And then it becomes a 5-on-3. So During the 5-on-3, Domi gets a goal to go with his helpers from Radish and Kane at 16:46. The 5-on-4 was killed off, and then the Oilers end up getting a power play, because why not? So that rolls over into the third period. During that power play, Nugent-Hopkins scores from Barrie and Draisaitl at 24 seconds. To celebrate that, the Hawks end up getting a power play. Then it becomes a 4-on-4. Everything's killed off. Holloway nearly gets a goal. The Oilers get their 6th power play, and McDavid scores on it from Bouchard at 10:16. The Oilers get their 7th power play. That was killed off. Then Kane, this is a 5-on-5 goal. I don't know how that happened. Kane from McCabe and Jones at 60. Caleb Jones at 16:49 makes it a tie game, but then in the final minute, Draisaitl. The Oilers steal it. It's Yamamoto steals it, and they get the goal. Beautiful pass by Kane to Draisaitl. So Draisaitl from Kane and Yamamoto at 19:22, just as it looked like we might get overtime. And I had nowhere to put overtime. I had no room on the board for overtime. So the final score is 6-5 for the Oilers. They go to 5-3. It's not a pretty game, but they win it. The Blackhawks drop to 4-3 with the loss, so they're one game above 500. Your shots: 14-12 Edmonton in the first, 16-12 Chicago in the second, 12-8 Edmonton in the third. Final shots: 38-36 for Edmonton. Power plays: Edmonton was 3 for 7. Chicago was 2 for 10. That is 17 power plays. And I know there were other penalties called as well that didn't necessarily end up in a man advantage. Just ridiculous. The hits: 29-14 for Chicago. When you've got 17 power plays, I want to see 100 hits. I want to see a really physical game. There were some really cheap calls both ways in this game. Man. Campbell saves 31 out of 36. A little shaky in places, but Stalock allowed 6 goals on 38 shots, so he had 32 saves. So neither goaltender's going to want this one on their resume necessarily, but the Oilers walk away with the win, and that's what's important. So they win both games between the St. Louis game last night and Chicago tonight. That's impressive. All right, next up, Dallas at home against Washington. This game started at the same time as this one. This one finished about 20 minutes earlier because of all of the stuff going on here. So it's Kemper versus Ottinger. Early chances for the Stars. They have some pressure, 2.5 minutes. The Caps, they press back. No shots on their press. Ovi hits the crossbar. Things get pushy after a hold by Ottinger. The shots are 5-2 for Dallas at 7 minutes. The Caps get a power play. Johansson's denied. Carlson with a miss. Good power play, but it's killed off. Gurianov hits a post. So the posts were busy in the first period. Stars press with 4 minutes left. Eventually, they get a goal. Robertson from Lundqvist and Hintz at 16:50. The Caps would try to answer, but after one period, it is 1-0 in favor of the Dallas Stars. Second period, the shots are only 2-0 for the Caps at 4.5 minutes. This was a fast game, and I mean, as much as this one was bogged down, this was a fast game as well. The Stars pressed, but they needed shots. Lindell blasted one wide before that. There wasn't a lot hitting the net at that point. Hintz with a near miss on a 2-on-1. Ovechkin's then denied on a rush. Orlov elbowed Marchment in the jaw, and there wasn't a call. So the ref, you suck, got tagged up right there because it was clear. Like I'm not. Like, this referee called that penalty, and he wasn't even at that game. Just, he probably gave a phantom call to somebody. He just watched on the replay. Oh, I got to give out a penalty. You see this crap? So, yeah, Orlov got away with that one. The intensity wrapped up after that. So, basically, both teams started throwing more hits. It felt like, anyways. Not that there was a lot of hits in this game either. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Lundqvist is then denied on a 2-on-1. The Caps press in the final 30 seconds. But it stays 1-0 after 2. Third period, early press by the Capitals. The Stars, they draw the first power play on their own press as well. The Caps don't let them set up. Robertson fires one wide, and then the shorthanded chances. Jensen has a shot that's saved. Sherry had a chance that was defended on a rush. And, yeah, so then there's a goal line stand on Johnston by Kemper, as, you know, that power play was done and all. Gustafsson blasts one wide on a turnover. And the game seemed to start slowing down at this point, too. We were starting to get more whistles. Now, Dallas was dominating in the face-off circle, so that's fine with Dallas to have more whistles, right? So, Caps end up getting a power play. This is where you would normally expect a tying goal from that Ovechkin guy. However, on a beautiful turnover by Kiviranta, He gets the shorthanded goal at 10:54, meaning he stole the puck, and then he goes in on his own and takes it right into the net. And then the Stars finish the kill, so that makes it 2-0. And I just felt like there's no way Ottinger's going to allow 2 goals. It's not going to happen. Pavelski was denied on a rush with 4:04 left. The Caps get a power play. That becomes a 4-on-4. Goalie gets pulled with 3.5 minutes left. There was a crossbar for Ovechkin. So Ovechkin hits a crossbar here. Ovechkin hits a crossbar here. Eventually, those pucks are going to start going in. They didn't tonight. Dallas wins 2-0. They go to 5-2-1 with the win. The Caps drop to 4-4. There's another team that's 500. So the shots are 13-7 Dallas in the first, 8-6 Washington in the second, and 12-8 Washington in the third. Both teams had 27 shots. I want to say, too, one of the reasons that teams are falling to 500 and everybody's so close, we are not seeing nearly as much overtime. At least it doesn't feel like we're seeing nearly as much overtime as usual. And I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with things being decided in regulation. Power plays in this game were 0 for 3 on both sides. Hits were 21-10 Washington. Kemper saves 25 out of 27. Ottinger saves all 27 shots for his 3rd career shutout. All right, next up. Well, it wasn't pretty, right? And that's, I mean, the Orca magnet comes out when the Canucks haven't been playing very well. That's when I use that, and that's when I use the word mark magnets for goals, is when the Canucks haven't been playing well. So it was Demko versus Jones. This might have been Demko's best game this season in parts, right? So Schwartz couldn't bury as the Seattle Kraken pressed early. There was a post for Yanni Gourde. The Kraken had the etch early, and then the fighting starts. And this is a sign of, I think, the Canucks trying to show a little bit of spirit. Now, this was interesting. First, you had Pearson against Larson, and then you had Miller against Soucy not long after. So that means that 2 defensemen are out of the game for the Seattle Kraken. That's not bad. And during that period, the Canucks get on the board. It's Mikheyev from Shen and Kuzmenko at 4:38. So that's a scoring play that's important because Mikheyev's been around the net. He hasn't been getting goals. Kuzmenko hasn't been getting points. And it was a bounce that was friendly to the Canucks, and man, do they need those. And it was only the 3rd shot on net. The shots are 4-2 for the Canucks at 6.5 minutes. Beniers was then denied on a 3-on-2. Seattle gets a power play. That's killed off. Joshua had a rush chance that's held, but then they connect it before the period was out. Alexiak scores from Schultz and Tanev at 18:39, and then it's McCann from Gourde at 19:44. They needed the save on the Alexiak one. The McCann one is forgivable. So it's 2-1 in favor of the Kraken after 1. So second period, Canucks get a power play. There was a shorthanded 2-on-1. Geekie fires wide. And then Mikheyev. Yep, Ilya Mikheyev, power play goal from Dries and Garland at 3:58. Nice to see Dries on the board. He's good on the special teams here in Abbey, so sure. So the score's 2-2. Horvat's then denied on a net drive as the Canucks have some momentum. Seattle presses at 8 minutes, but with 9 minutes left, the shots are 6-5 in favor of the Canucks. Kuzmenko has a shot that stung Soucy. He would stay in the game. Canucks press, that draws them a power play, and they score on it, which is unusual this year. Kuzmenko, so he gets a goal to go with the assist on the power play from Miller and Patterson at 14:16. Again, scoring plays in this game that are going to make Canuck fans feel a little bit better. That being said, 16 seconds later, the lead is gone. It is Beniers from Schwartz. And yeah, so that's kind of how this went. Then we had a fight between Burrows and Geekie. So yeah, Seattle was getting a power play anyways. That's killed off. So after the second period, it's tied at 3. Third period, it's not tied for long at 1:16. It's Pettersson. It was a bouncing puck on a rush. He got it in there. And so he scores from Shen. Pettersson had a good game, gets himself a couple of points. Canucks press for more, but there's a delay game call. The Kraken get the power play. That's killed off. The Seattle Kraken press after. Seattle presses again at the half. Goalie pull with 2 minutes left. And Garland with one of the prettier empty net goals you're going to see at 18:35. It was a backhand from about 150 feet away. So that's not bad. But with 50.7 seconds left, goalie pulled. It becomes a 6-on-4 due to a penalty. And on that power play goal on the 6-on-4, Jaden Schwartz gets the goal from Eberle at 19 minutes and 30 seconds to make it a 1-goal game. Miller gets hurt on a shot block in the closing seconds. He was rolling around he might still be on the ice there. I don't know. I turned over to these games. He might still be there. I should check on him. But this is win number 600 for Bruce Boudreau. Not the prettiest win of his career. The Canucks win 5-4. A win is a win is a win, but tomorrow night they got to come home and play against Pittsburgh. They're 1-5-2 with the win. Seattle 3-4 and 2 with the loss. So the shots in this one, 14-9 Seattle in the first, 8-7 Seattle in the second, 14-3 Seattle in the third. So the overall shots end up being 36-19 for Seattle. So Vancouver really, they get away with one tonight. The power plays, Vancouver 2 for 2, Seattle 1 for 4. And I think that 14-3 third period shot advantage for Seattle, Vancouver's got to be better in third periods. They do that tomorrow night against Pittsburgh. Well, anyways, the hits were 21-13 for Vancouver. Demko saves 32 out of 36. For Jones, he saves 14 out of 18. So it's one of those odd nights where both goalies allowed 4 goals, but there's the empty netter in there too for Garland. Good thing he got that, or else they might still be playing. It might still be in a shootout. All right, next up, Toronto. So the Toronto Maple Leafs in against, you know what's funny? I had that wrong, and there's going to be all kinds of comments that I got that wrong. You know why? Because my brain kind of broke at the idea of San Jose winning the game, because Toronto needed this win, right? Anyways, it was Shalgren versus Kakkonen in this one, and 26 seconds in on the first shot, Couture makes it 1-0 from Nieto and Barabanov. Whoops, that's not how you start on time. Matthews then has a shot that's held, but Toronto ties it. It's Kemp from Kerfoot and Marner at 5:14. And the shots are 6-2 for the Leafs at 5.5 minutes. So things are looking good, and then it just kind of trailed off. Mete has a rush that's defended. Carlson's denied by Giordano. There's too many Sharks on the ice. The Leafs get a power play. That was killed off relatively easily. It's 1-1 after 1. Second period, Leafs get a power play. Can't get set up. The Sharks kill that off. The Sharks' penalty kill's been excellent this season, which is not a surprise to anyone. 2 Leafs penalties then are called at once, which I'm sure there will be Leaf fans watching this are going, are you serious? One referee calls one referee calls the other. It does happen. It's rare, but it does happen. So it's a full 2 minutes of 5-on-3. And I got to say this, San Jose made the best of it. First on the 5-on-3, it's Couture from Barabanov and Carlson at 5:15. Marner then had a shorthanded rush. He couldn't bury there, and that hurts because then it's a power play marker. Now, originally it looked like it was Couture's goal, so that's a hat trick, meaning hats hit the ice. But it wasn't a goal, it was a goal, but not for Couture. It was Meyer that tipped it in front. Couture and Carlson with the assists at 5:57. So the hats are gone. It wasn't a hat trick, but it's a 3-1 lead for San Jose against Toronto. Leafs try to answer. Kerfoot has a shot that's held as the Leafs press. The shots are 7-2 for the Sharks at 8 minutes, though. Delay game call. The Sharks get a power play. That's killed off. The Leafs are stuck on 2 shots for a while in that period. Then there's a press by the Leafs. They didn't get shots from that. The Sharks press with 2 minutes left, but then in the final minute, at 19:37, it's Marner from Riley and Kerfoot. Are you excited by that goal? So that makes it 3-2 when we go to the third period. In the third, good back and forth early. The Leafs then press at 2.5 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Marner fires one high. The Leafs get a power play, and they score on it. And Matthews wired it. That was a nice goal from Tavares and Nylander at 5:38. So that's good news. The Leafs tie this game up. The Leafs press at 7 minutes. Matthews was denied from the slot. The Leafs get a power play. That was killed off by San Jose. Excellent penalty kill by San Jose yet again, even though they did allow I think that was their first goal they've allowed on the penalty kill all year. The Sharks press with 6 minutes left. Tavares is then denied on a rush. The Leafs press with 1.5 minutes left, but we're going to overtime. In the overtime, the Leafs control Marner with a rush, unable to get a shot on net. Couture takes over. Myers with a rush, chance that's held. And then on a break, Carlson was not being denied. He gets the goal in overtime from Meyer at 57 seconds. So Leafs turnover, and it's in the back of their net. Final score is 4-3 for San Jose. I'm sorry I had the score backwards. I fixed it. San Jose's 3-7 on the season. Toronto's 4-3-1. So they're technically one game above 500, but yeah, this is a tough one. The shots are 9-5 Toronto in the first, 14-6 San Jose in the second, 10 shots each in the third, 2-0 were the shots in the overtime for San Jose, including the one that matters. Final shots 31-25 for the Sharks. Power plays, Toronto 1 for 4, San Jose 2 for 3. So the special teams are the difference. Hits 25-11 for the Sharks. Shalgren 27 saves on 31 shots. Kakkonen saves 22 out of 25. And so, yeah, for Toronto, things didn't look great. And they need to get this thing going, right? All right, next up. Winnipeg in against the LA Kings. This game was bonkers. So it's Hellebuyck versus Quick. Early press by the Jets. The shots are 3-0 though for the Kings at 2.5 minutes. Arvidsson has a chance that's held, but then Scheifele, individual effort. He gets the puck. It's his 5th goal of the season at 5:03. He don't need no stinking assists. He's just getting goals. Jets press for another. The Kings, though, they get a power play. That's killed off. The shots are 5-1 for LA at 8.5 minutes. There's a too many men on the ice call. The Kings get a power play out of that, and they score on it. It's Kaliev on what was the 10th shot of the game for LA. The Jets are still at 1. Moore and Dursey with the assists at 9:47. Then Lizotte on the next shot, the 11th shot, he scores from Grundstrom and Lemieux. So at 10:53, suddenly the Kings have a lead. The Kings get a power play, that's killed off, but then Kevin Fiala scores to make it 3-1 at 14:33. Jets get a power play, that's killed off. And then with 2:05 left, the Kings get a power play. So they have a chance to really put the hammer down. However, it's a shorthanded goal instead. It's Lowry from Gustafson and DeMello at 18:08, and then they finish the kill. So it's a period that, honestly, the Kings dominated them badly, but they're only down by 1. Second period, Kempe's denied early. The Kings press at 3 minutes. Fiala has a fast break chance. That wouldn't go. The shots are 4-0 LA at 5.5 minutes. It's all LA in this game at that point. I mean, the overall shots are 21-6 at that stage. Connor's then denied on a rush. The Jets get a power play. Connor couldn't bury one on a net drive. He's getting the opportunities. The puck's going to start going in for him. Schmidt fires one wide as it ends. And then with 5:01 left, the Jets go back to the power play. This one they score on. It's Dubois from Connor and Morrissey at 16:04. And everybody watched Connor, which left Dubois kind of open there. And Dubois gets the goal. And then Schmidt, before the period's out, he gets his first in, I think they said 31 games. He gets the goal from Lowry and Barron at 18:55, and that was through a screen. I don't think Quick saw it. But that puts Winnipeg up by 1 going into the third period. Third period, early Jets turnovers, but they've recovered. And then Moore scores from Dano. He scores to tie it at 4:45. The Jets then press at about 7 minutes. There's a power play for the Jets. That's killed off. But then Janssen Fjällby, his first goal as a Jet, he scores from Dillon at 14:23. The Kings press with 3.5 minutes left. With 1:10 left, though, the Jets get a power play. Kings pull the goaltender to make it 5-on-5, but technically it's a power play goal into the empty net when Wheeler hits the empty net at 19:19 to secure a 6-4 victory for the now 4-3 Winnipeg Jets against the now 4-5 LA Kings. The shots in this one, 17-6 LA in the first, 12-8 LA in the second, and 14-5 LA in the third. Final shots 43-19 for the Kings. Power plays 2 for 5 for Winnipeg, 1 for 4 for LA. Hits 25-23 for the Jets. Hellebuyck saved 39 out of 43. Many of those 39 saves were spectacular and Quick. Very unflattering, 13 saves on 18 shots. The Kings have a goaltending problem. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.